Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this new webinar presented by our application specialist, Richard Gray. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can already type them in the proper panel on the right-hand side. At the end, we're going to dedicate a session for the Q&A. All your microphones are muted. The session is also recorded and is going to be available starting from tomorrow on our Vimeo and YouTube channel. You're going to all receive directly the link by email. So thanks for joining us, and now let's start the webinar.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar, Ink Management in the Digital Age. What we're going to focus on is specifically X-Rite's ink formulation package, and specifically what benefits that can bring to both the ink supplier and the larger packaging converters in terms of workflow improvement and also cost and time saving benefits. Ink formulation allows, through the use of a specific calibrated assortment, usually supplied by the relevant ink company, allows the electronic prediction and correction of any spectrally measured colour using a spectrophotometer. As we said, this gives you numerous advantages that can improve, both help and improve your workflow. The first advantage is that your colour targets become purely digital. What this means in practice is then using specific file types known as colour exchange format, you can communicate this colour digitally throughout your supply chain without the need for any physical samples at all. Colours can be sent in the time it takes to send an email, and if you need an exact copy of a colour standard, it's a simple case of duplication of the file. What this removes is any potential ambiguity as to what is the correct standard. Also then, we're not then having to physically post off colour samples for approval up or down a supply chain, thus reducing overall lead time. The second advantage using ink formulation is that the software comes preloaded with all the current Pantone coated, uncoated, pastel and neon range colour standards. What this means is then anyone in the same supply chain can then quote these Pantone digital targets directly between sites. This removes the need for any visual verification to a specific fan deck, which may have inherent variability within the fan deck because of the fan deck's age or condition. Using the manufacturing version of the software, what this allows the user to do is to bulk formulate directly to either a specific CXF file, an integrated colour library, or a specific Pantone Live brand reference library, and allows the formulator to mass formulate to any number of digital targets. So, for instance, in this example, it is possible, using an ink assortment, to mass formulate to all 1600 plus C reference standards automatically. This then greatly improves both initial accuracy and also time saved for the ink supplier. Again, if you have specific CXF libraries, these can be formulated in an identical way. In addition to this, what is also possible within ink formulation is if you have existing recipes, these could be generic or customer specific. Again, using the batch processing option, it will allow you the seamless reformulation of every recipe within a particular folder to a different set of conditions. This could be something like a different additive, or the removal of a specific colorant, or perhaps formulating on a different substrate, whether it be a flexible packaging substrate or a different paper grade perhaps. We can then also refine the sorting criteria to any number of different characteristics. Again, looking at the practical benefits of ink formulation, what is also possible are things whereby I can now predict specific colours achievable without ever having to go to press. For example, this particular target colour green on the design may be being originated to print over a specific yellow. If so, we can then set IFS up to have a specific pre-printed coloured substrate, allowing the formulator to then see what the achievable colour is using an underlying individually coloured substrate. We can then check to see what colour is actually achievable prior to going to press. Again, individually formulating recipes, we have numerous different criteria as to what is the most important within your workflow. We can then look at overall delta E and choose, as in this example, the closest potential match to a colour. Or, if colour is less critical in the workflow, we can then look at what is actually the cheapest recipe or the lowest number of components. Sorting criteria can then also be configured to be customer specific. Again, if formulating something to a specific, perhaps brand target colour, we can then look in much greater detail as to the suitability of each individual formulation graphically. Here, just some examples of individual spectral curve, colour space plot, or very usefully, individual colour matchings under specific light sources. Again, this can all be done at the pre-formulation stage without ever having to go to press. Another major benefit of ink formulation is the ability of the software to then again predict colours based on customer specific coating weights. These can be calibrated within ink formulation itself, and again we can check if a specific colour is achievable under a certain coating weight specification. Here, an example analog specification. We can then also then check what the closest achievable delta E would be at this specification, again prior to going to any press approval stage. One of the fundamental parts of the software is the ability to give a balanced correction based on a customer target colour. This could be at the ink blend stage or could actually be on press. So what this allows you to do then is cut down on any time lost colour matching due to A, possibly incorrect formulation, or press contamination, bringing you back to your target colour seamlessly and accurately. Again, if you have a maximum press amount, I can then also tailor the correction to be the maximum achievable if I'm blending inks directly on press. One of the major cost-saving benefits that ink formulation brings is the ability for the software to not only use customer-specific colorants, but also load in on-site any ink leftovers which the customer may be using. These can be loaded in with specific locations and stock amounts. And here in the example we can see that I can then check a colour using only my available leftovers, seeing then seamlessly if do I have something that I could A, issue as colour correct, or B, blend up with other existing ink leftovers to make an achievable colour. Again, with the use of the batching system option, ink formulation can seamlessly connect to a range of different batching systems. This then allows the seamless correction of inks directly to a dispensing system and also stock control, as ink stock amounts can be set to be automatically reduced at one of these stages. Within the application as well, if the application is going to be used where multiple users have access to the system, we can then tailor the individual permissions to be specific as required. We can then set up a full administrator logon with full permissions for all parts of the software, and then a basic user logon whereby then the toolbars and also the workflows are minimized to make the workflows as simplistic as possible for maximum use. Finally, ink formulation, as well as being a suitable standalone system, can also run within a virtualized server environment. What this allows the ink company or converter to do is then centrally manage all of their data and assortments, allowing remote access right the way across the world via a remote desktop or internet browser. Doing this, we can then also link a local dispensing system or spectrophotometer directly into this formulation software. That now concludes our webinar. Thank you for your attention. We will now take specific questions if required through our moderator.
Thank you so much for the excellent presentation, Richard. We had a lot of people following this 15 minutes presentation, and for the moment there are no questions, but we're gonna give you a couple of minutes, so if you want to type something, we will be glad to read and give an answer. And as you can see in this last slide, of course, you can also keep on being in touch with X-Rite and our expert, with the email address emeatechsupport@xrite.com or with the toll-free number. So somebody did the login in delay, and so they're asking if the webinar will be available for their views. Yes, of course. So the webinar is recorded and available on our Vimeo and YouTube channel. You're gonna receive an email tomorrow with direct link. So Richard, it seems that your presentation was very, very good and self-explained, because at the moment there are no questions. Okay, so the first one just popped up. They're asking, using ink leftovers, the amount of the ink must be added by hand in the spectro?
If I understand correctly, you have two options with ink leftovers. If you're using the software purely on a standalone basis, then yes, it would be a manual addition, a manual blend. However, if you have connection to a dispensing system, it is possible then also to put the ink leftover on as a component to the dispensing system, as we can see here. And we have some customers using flexible packaging doing that directly. It is then possible to configure IFS to recognize the ink leftover as a component in its own right.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think that we can close the session for today. And of course, you can also get in touch with X-Rite through the social media, so LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you a nice rest of the day. Goodbye.